Hello, I'm Chuck Martin, and welcome to the Voices of the Internet of Things. With me today is Santh Sathya, founder and CEO of LuftCar. Santh has been hydrogen fuel cell program manager at Ford, engineering operation leader at GE Power, global marketing strategy and analytics manager at Siemens, vice president and chief strategy officer at Johnson Controls, and head of product strategy and engineering operations at Boeing. At LuftCar, Santh is focused on creating the practical flying vehicle and vertiport infrastructure of the future. Welcome, Santh. How are you?
I'm doing great, Chuck. Great to see you again. Thanks for the opportunity.
I always look forward to this. So tell me, tell anyone who doesn't know, tell the audience about your flying vehicle because it's a different approach than most of them.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the other day I was watching a video of from 1940s, I think, where they were having this road vehicle detaching out of a wing system. So I cannot take full credit for the idea as somebody that originated from scratch. This has been thought before. It also appeared in the James Bond movie, Man with the Golden Gun. What I am doing is electrifying that concept. So I'm pretty much building an electric airframe that does the same thing, that has got a detachable fuselage. In this case, the fuselage is going to be a ground vehicle. It could also be any other type of cargo vehicle. The other way to look at it is this is a flying forklift that can lift a ground vehicle without unique patented design. So we are lifting a ground vehicle the way a pitcher carries a baseball with a top hold and a bottom hold, or how an eagle carries a prey. And one of our inspirations had been the cowcatcher locomotive from the 1920s, which had a bottom tongue. And we're kind of using that into our IP, which is a differentiator compared to many other similar concepts. So we call our vehicle a next generation eVTOL vehicle. We are not only serving passenger transport or single missions from point to point. We are a multimodal vehicle concept. We are an airframe that has got a road vehicle or a cargo compartment that's attached to it that could be dropped off, that road vehicle can drive away. So in essence, we are addressing the end last mile delivery from destination to landing site, from landing site to the end destination. And that's what we're building here.
Is it a special vehicle that it carries, or can it carry any kind of vehicle?
There are two things that we are doing. We could carry any ground vehicle with some customization that accommodates the docking system. But based on what the military wanted us to do, we also have an attachment, a cage-like structure where a conventional vehicle or a conventional cargo compartment could be slid in and tied on and lifted. So we have two different variants. One is a customized ground vehicle, and others vehicles as they are based on the use case.
Conceptually or theoretically, could this the flying part just be something that flies vehicles back and forth and brings vehicles to a location?
Yeah, absolutely. So our drone part or the aircraft part is going to be autonomous by itself. So it could be operated separately. It could be summoned to destinations to pick up vehicles. It's essentially a drone. It could operate like any other drone with beyond line of sight. And there are two navigation components. One is the navigation inside of the car. Once there are people inside of it, they could pilot the whole vehicle from the cockpit of the car, if a term like that could be used. Or also the drone could be flown by itself separately.
If it's viewed as a drone, at least from a cargo standpoint, would that be under drone regulations or different regulations from the Federal Aviation Administration?
In general, right now, when you talk about drones, the drone is more of a commercial term that's been used for a long time. The more industrial term or marketing term is UAVs these days, unmanned air vehicles. So ours will be an UAV if there are no people in it. If there are people in it, there'll be an advanced air mobility vehicle. But the concept is the same thing. I think that there is a lot of overlap in regulations between the UAVs and the AAMs. AAMs are the advanced air mobility, UAVs are the unmanned air vehicles. So we are kind of operating in the middle ground there. We have the unique opportunity to develop regulations for UAVs and AAMs in terms of landing and takeoff in the Middle East, Dubai environment. And we have a lot of learnings from there, which we hope to impart here in the United States as well.
So if you are in operating from the drone's perspective, wouldn't that likely be sooner than than advanced air mobility from a regulation standpoint?
Absolutely. Very, very valid question, Chuck. And at this point in time, For both UAVs and AAMs, I would say the cargo would be the beachhead market. That's where the real ROI is. So for any of the state departments out there that's rolling out the deployment plan for AAMs or air taxis, I would recommend that they seriously consider the cargo market along with people transportation in their modeling and in their planning and deployment efforts. What I see is a lot of the agencies are primarily looking at people transportation, but transportation are subject to a lot more regulatory safety requirements and quality certifications compared to air cargo. So I would say air cargo should be considered first, and this industry should be scaled up, and then people transportation would quickly follow after that.
Besides cargo, outside of people, do you see this for like first responder bringing things to a site, to an emergency site?
Yeah, for simplification purposes, I see emergency rescue and disaster relief as part of cargo also. In a way, you're doing cargo and services delivery. There's some logistical differences in there, some infrastructure differences, but yeah, emergency rescue, air ambulances, disaster relief, and also logistics connection in defense would be some of those initial markets. And it all depends on how the funding come through, how the developers are supported. But I think between healthcare and cargo, they all could go parallel, in my opinion.
What kind of fuel would this use?
So when we started out LuftCar, our focus was to have a capability to deliver heavy payloads over long ranges. So for that, of our very quick understanding at the initial phases was that battery is not going to cut it. Batteries will eat up into the payload. So when you keep building these vehicles around a battery propulsion system, a battery storage system, then you're going to really not achieve the kind of cargo capability or payload capability that you need to. So we are now considering, we started considering hydrogen right from the offset, hydrogen fuel cells, zero emissions. Hydrogen has got 4 times power density, 4 times the energy density compared to batteries, which helps you with the long range and heavy payload. But hydrogen commercialization also depends on the hydrogen infrastructures being in place, and that's a whole other thing where the Department of Energy needs to accelerate their efforts, and there has to be some policies getting lined up. But that's not a battle that a startup like us can fight at this point in time. So, but we want to follow a path of least resistance. That's our philosophy within LiftCar. And what we are doing now is our vehicle can operate in a plug and play manner. We could accommodate a sustainable aviation fuel propulsion system. We could also accommodate a hydrogen fuel cell propulsion system when that is ready. We are having some good partners in that space. But our airframe will be designed to accommodate either, and depending on the type of use case, depending on the type of customer requirements, we would put in the kind of propulsion that's needed.
You recently did a test of a prototype. Tell me about that.
Yes. So one of the biggest, like I originally said, the two biggest differentiators in LiftCar are, one is the docking system, where the drone picks up the ground vehicle like an eagle carrying a prey, and then the hydrogen fuel cell propulsion. So the objective of the first prototype that we built was to validate the docking system, which has not been done before, and we did that with great effect. We proved that in a scaled prototype. We demonstrated multiple landings and takeoff with this ground vehicle detaching and attaching and flying for like 30 minutes time frame, which is what the batteries would allow us to do at this point in time. So we have demonstrated that concept. We have de-risked any technology risk related to the docking concept, and now we are getting a lot of investment interest, and that's heading in the right direction.
Why haven't others taken this approach? It seems so obvious. And when people talk about so-called flying cars, I mean, this actually does fly a car to a
Yeah.
location, and the car can be driven because it's just a regular vehicle.
Yeah, it's people have tried it before. So I know in 1974 there was this Ford Pinto that was flown in a very similar manner that was featured in the James Bond movie. But it's a combination of structural integrity with the electric propulsion, and now that electric propulsion is available, we were fortunate enough in coming up with this very unique patented docking mechanism, and we have patent protected around the globe. So which puts us in a good place. There are others that try to do something similar with Airbus trying to lift these vehicles, the lift ground vehicles from the top. But then they thought about having a separate a skateboard platform where they can land these vehicles. And there are two or three other players that are using something similar. That kind of adds logistical complexity to the operations of these vehicles. We have a very simplified airframe. I guess we just thought in the right direction. But there have been some valiant efforts by our competitors in the past, and but we are where we are, and we're pretty happy about our IP.
Let's switch gears a little bit. You've over time, and you've been doing this for a long time. Over time, you've now expanded your business beyond the flying vehicle into the ecosystem, and you're now involved in vertiports. Tell me about that.
So, we had been working on the hydrogen fueling part of it right from the beginning. In fact, back in 2023, I think, early 2023, we pitched at the Vertical Flight Society Forum about this integrated vertiport concept with with hydrogen generated on site to refuel these vehicles. So we proposed what we called LuftPad at the time with multi-fuel capability. And then people have been converging on that idea also. We have been very successful in applying for a vertiport project with this multi-fuel hydrogen production on-site capability as part of the hydrogen hub proposals a year and a half ago. But now the hydrogen projects are not being funded anymore at this point in time. But hopefully things will turn around for the hydrogen world. But it's not like a new idea that we came up just recently. We have been thinking about this. We've been socializing this for a while. But now there is a lot of interest in what we do. We strongly believe that the infrastructure is critical in scaling up these advanced air mobility vehicles. The infrastructure is located at the right places with good operational efficiencies and good cost of operations is very important. At the end of it, the success of this industry depends on how much the customer has to pay for every mile that they have to travel. Both infrastructure, fuel costs, and vehicle costs, they all come into play. So we have converged on this integrated transportation and energy hub for these vertiports. What that means is that the energy that you produce in these vertiport hubs, whether it's in regional airports or in private locations, will be useful for will be used to refuel the vehicles and also will be used to power up data centers in that location and power up the communities. It's a wonderful concept, and we do have some customers that we currently work with, both in the United States and overseas.
Didn't you do something that was in the UAE or Dubai or somewhere?
Yeah, so we did a huge project in Dubai, which is the Dubai Horizon 2 project, which is about creating the vertiport site regulations and from an infrastructure standpoint and looking at the privacy and safety buffers for different types of drones and UAVs and AAMs across Dubai and pretty much coming up with regulations. We also created a digital twin model for the vertiport sites and for vertiport site selection for a particular area within Dubai. So this is about supporting the Dubai municipality in their effort to integrate advanced air mobility into the current existing land use and zonal considerations. So we did that project, and there's a potential sequel coming up to that. I can't disclose more on that at this point in time. But there are similar other projects in the United States that's happening where integrating advanced air mobility into the current urban environment is a critical factor. You've got to do it responsibly. And that's where we have done a lot of work.
That's something different than building a vertiport, right?
Well, there are many different components to building a vertiport. So building a vertiport with brick and mortar, laying out the FADO is something that we do as a turnkey provider. But even before you build the vertiport, looking at the real estate, looking at the land use and building considerations, you looking and identifying the exact places where the vertiports need to be so that they're not conflicting with any users out there or any other conditions that's out there or with obstacles, right? That's very important. That's part of the vertiport planning process. So we do the vertiport planning, and then on top of that, we also build the vertiports in a very efficient manner.
Isn't the planning a lot more difficult than building it?
Absolutely. So you need to have a good understanding of the different types of vehicles that's out there, different types of operating considerations. You have to know about the regional regulatory requirements versus the technical limitations of these vehicles. You need to know how a cargo vehicle operate differently from a passenger carrying vehicle, and how that will interface with some commercial air corridors, and how they will comply to the existing advanced air mobility corridors, and what will be the kind of clearances that will be required between neighboring buildings, and so there are a whole bunch of considerations, and what kind of privacy and safety considerations that you need to have with respect to, say, residential, commercial, industrial zones that's out there. So the integration part is highly important, and we developed the regulations on it. We even wrote manuals on it as part of the Dubai project. So I think as a company, we have done the hard work on that part. And yes, you're right, it is difficult. It's easier to actually construct a vertiport, but even in that, we got ourselves very familiar with the regulations, and we're doing a couple of projects on that as well.
Where do drones fit in this whole scenario, if at all?
That's another great question. Earlier we used to think of drones as a separate entity, different from the advanced air mobility, and the advanced air mobility vertiports were, considered like some novelty. But now, depending on the use cases and seeing how communities work, many communities will require drones, will require drone deliveries for small packages. And when you're building vertiports, it's a smart practice to have drone delivery pads co-located along these vertiports, so that serves the community. Communities can get their Amazon packets delivered at the rooftop vertiport, at the same time have the ability to use the rooftop vertiport. I'm not saying use the same FATO. The drone delivery towers would be a little bit different, but they could also be kind of co-located in that area, and that's something that we are now incorporating.
It doesn't seem like vertiport builders are thinking about that yet for some reason.
I have to say this, and I don't want to make enemies out of what I just say here, is that there is a practice of signing up exclusivity in this industry. Airports and states signing exclusivity to certain vertiport developers, and that's kind of unfortunate in my view, is that then you're not open to new emerging trends. You're not open to new ideas. You are like kind of limiting the possibilities by signing exclusivities too early, because this industry is evolving. Like you asked very well, there's the integration between AMs and UAVs, there's integration between large vehicles with the small drone packages, there's integration between different fuel types. There is a very big need to really integrate with the ground infrastructure. So the thought process is changing, the know-how is changing. So you don't want to be signing up to exclusivities in the space, but just keep open. And I want more collaboration between different parties. Competitors can collaborate in some places and agree to compete on other places. So just keep an open mind and keep evolving.
You have an AI component to your business too, don't you?
Yes. And we did that out of a necessity, because what we see is that there is rollout plans for advanced air mobility in many ways, but looking primarily at people transportation consideration. So like you said, people think about only air taxis, and then they lay out a AM development plan. To your point earlier, it may not be people transportation that happens first. It could be cargo. It could be like long range, because in the United States, the cities are so spread out in different places. So you need to have vehicles that have the long range capability, carrying heavy payload, handling multiple missions. So we wanted to come up with a proper planning tool based on demand. I mean, this happens in regular transportation modeling. When you do regular transportation modeling, we look at the demand for different transportation nodes and types, and then we come up with the complete modeling. And we should be doing the same thing for advanced air mobility. In our company, we have the ability to study the economic forecast and the trends in advanced air mobility. We did that for Dubai for the next 10 years. So now we developed an AI tool that does the demand forecasting, not only looking at people transport, but also looking at cargo transport, cargo delivery, looking at the number of ports, warehouses, and making some educated assumptions around cargo, and also looking at healthcare, number of hospitals, and how the healthcare is going to look like over the next 10 years. And we've developed an AI tool that continues to look into data real time, and that can come up with the most appropriate vertiport locations. And advanced air mobility is supposed to connect not only urban centers, but also urban centers with remote sites. So in the process of connecting big urban centers, we should not be ignoring remote sites. then you are really not providing the connectivity that you need to. So our model looks at remote sites and it looks at the socioeconomic characters. Looks at the income variability within across a state, and then determines the vertiport locations. And it also gives you the option to prioritize the vertiports based on the number of missions that you're likely to see and the ROI that you'll get out of each of the vertiports. Helps you prioritize so that you can deploy the vertiport constructions in a very phased manner. And we did this as a case study for New Jersey first. And then now we have done another case study for Dubai. And now we are working on the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
When you saw that James Bond movie all that those years ago, you said, "I think I should build something like that." Were you thinking eventually I'll be doing artificial intelligence with vertiports and modeling and all of that?
No, no, I did not. But then I go by the old adage, right? Necessity is the mother of invention, right? So when you think of one, if I have to really make my James Bond vehicle commercialized, I really need good vertiports. I don't want them to not happen. And if I have to do the vertiports, then we need to have good planning tool for these vertiports. They are all so interconnected, one with the other, and we are so happy that we are doing all of these. The good thing is that we have the talent within LuftCar to do all of this. The AI tool was completely developed in-house without any contracting outside. So we are so happy to have a very solid AI competency within LuftCar. The infrastructure, along with LuftCar talent, we are also partnering with some outside capability, outside partners who are building them. The LuftCar itself, the vehicle design itself is completely ours. So we are pretty happy that we are involved in all of the three. It looked overwhelming like a couple of years ago, but now we are so happy that we are able to be engaged in all of the three aspects because it is really paying us right now.
I'm looking forward to seeing your vehicle fly. Thank you so much, Santh, and thank you all for listening to the Voices of the Internet of Things. I'm Chuck Martin.
Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it.